There's this fear that a lot of us have, right? That as we get older, we're just supposed to get weaker, frailer, that losing our independence is just part of the deal. But what if a lot of what we just accept as getting older is actually something we can influence? Today, we are going to dive deep into a really surprising connection, a link between your muscles, your gut, and a totally new way to think about aging itself. Okay, let's just start with this. This is a powerful quote from a Japanese doctor who lived to be over 100 years old, and his whole point was that the weakness we all associate with aging, it's not our destiny. He believed, based on a lifetime of experience, that it's not only preventable, but in many cases actually reversible. I mean, that one idea pretty much challenges everything we're told about getting older. So let's just ask it straight up. Is getting weaker just a normal part of aging? It's a really common belief, isn't it? Something most of us have heard or maybe even said to ourselves. But is that really the whole story? Well, let's take a look at the actual numbers. So get this. The research shows that after the age of 50, the average adult loses between 1 and 2% of their muscle mass every single year. Now, that might not sound like a huge number, but think about it. It compounds year after year, which is what dramatically increases the risk of falls and, ultimately, the loss of independence. This process isn't just a vague feeling of getting weaker. It actually has a medical name, sarcopenia. And giving it a name is so important because it stops being this unavoidable fate and becomes what it is, a recognized medical condition. And, just like a lot of other conditions, it has causes we can actually understand and, more importantly, do something about.
So it's time to bust this myth of just slowing down. What feels like this general symptom of old age is really rooted in very specific biological changes. And the first big clue in this whole mystery, well, it's found right inside our muscles.
So, where did scientists first start looking for an answer? Well, for a long, long time, they were focused on one main suspect behind sarcopenia, a phenomenon that happens right inside our muscle cells as we get older. And it's called anabolic resistance, okay? This concept is absolutely crucial to understand. It basically means that as we age, our muscles just get less sensitive to the signals from protein. So even if you're eating plenty of it, your muscles have a harder time actually using that protein to repair themselves and grow. It's like the workers are there, but they're not listening to the boss.
And this shows the difference so clearly. Younger muscles, they're incredibly responsive. You give them protein, and they get right to work building and repairing. But older muscles have a much lower response. To get that same muscle-building effect, they just need a lot more protein to get the message. Now, for years, this whole idea of anabolic resistance was pretty much the main story. But the latest science has thrown in a massive plot twist. It turns out there's a hidden partner in all of this, a totally unexpected part of our body that plays a huge role in the health of our muscles.
Yeah, the story really doesn't end inside the muscles. What if the real driver of all this muscle decline wasn't just resistance inside the muscle cell, but a problem that starts in a completely different part of the body? I'm talking about your gut. Welcome to what scientists call the gut-muscle axis. It's this incredible idea that the trillions of bacteria living in your gut, your microbiome, are in constant communication with your muscles. They influence everything from systemic inflammation, this kind of chronic low-grade inflammation that some people call inflammaging, all the way to how well you absorb nutrients, how strong your gut lining is, and even your hormones. So here's the bottom line. An unhealthy, inflamed gut can literally sabotage all your efforts to maintain muscle. It creates this background noise of inflammation that not only speeds up muscle breakdown, but also makes it even harder for your body to use the protein you're eating in the first place.
Okay, I know this might sound a little complicated, but the solution is actually pretty straightforward. We can fight back against this with a really simple two-part action plan. And it's all about using affordable, science-backed strategies that address both the muscles and the gut.
So part one is pretty much what you'd expect. We've got to give our muscles the direct fuel they need to push past that anabolic resistance. And the good news is, you don't need fancy, expensive supplements or powders to do it. In fact, here are 7 absolute powerhouse foods that are super effective and easy on the wallet. We're talking sardines, cottage cheese, lentils, canned tuna, eggs, Greek yogurt, and dried beans. Every single one of these is packed with high-quality protein that your body can use really efficiently to build and hang on to that precious muscle.
But, you see, just feeding our muscles is only half the battle. If we don't also address what's going on in the gut, we're basically fighting with one hand tied behind our back. And that brings us to part 2, supporting our gut microbiome to cool down that inflammation and help us absorb all those good nutrients.
And the key player here is something called prebiotics. It's a really simple concept. Prebiotics are just specialized types of plant fiber that your good gut bacteria absolutely love to eat. They're like fertilizer for your internal garden, helping all those beneficial microbes to thrive. And the benefits of doing this are just incredible. Prebiotics can help boost your immune system, improve calcium absorption for stronger bones, help regulate blood sugar, and even support your brain health through that gut-brain connection. So by feeding your gut, you are truly supporting your entire body.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one last really profound idea. We've talked a lot about what goes wrong with aging, but what if some of these changes aren't a mistake at all? What if they're actually a kind of strategic trade-off, a clever adaptation for long-term survival?
I just love this quote from Dr. Thomas Rando. It perfectly captures this new way of thinking. He compares young muscle stem cells to sprinters and aged ones to marathon runners. Yeah, the older cells are slower, but they are built for endurance. Let's just look at this comparison for a second. The young, sprinter cells, they repair tissue like crazy, super fast, but they burn out. The aged, marathon runner cells, on the other hand, are slower to get going, sure, but they're way more resilient. They're designed for the long haul, built to survive in the tougher environment of an aging body. There's actually a scientific term for this, cellular survivorship bias, and it's such a cool concept. The idea is that over decades, the fast-burning sprinter cells just die off, and what's left behind is a population of tougher, more resilient marathoner cells. The cells that survive into old age aren't the best at their job, they're the best at surviving the job.
So, all of this leaves us with one final big question to think about. Is the aging process purely a story of decline? Or is it, at a really deep cellular level, a remarkable and strategic adaptation for survival? It's a completely different lens for understanding why our bodies change. And honestly, it gives you a whole new level of respect for the incredible resilience of life.